Failure is something that everyone encounters on a daily basis, whether in minor or more significant forms. These small failures, like missing a minor deadline, forgetting an important task, or having an awkward social interaction, may seem insignificant at first glance, but their cumulative effect can weigh heavily on one's motivation and emotional health. Learning how to cope with these daily setbacks is essential for maintaining mental resilience, staying productive, and cultivating a positive outlook on life. Instead of allowing small failures to accumulate and cause discouragement, adopting effective coping strategies helps transform these moments into opportunities for growth and self improvement. The very first method in coping with the small failures is embracing acceptance. Failure is an inevitable aspect of human existence, and no one can completely avoid it. Recognizing this reality is fundamental because it prevents us from internalizing failure as a personal defect or a sign of incompetence. Acceptance allows us to view failure as a normal part of the learning and growth process. When we accept that failure will happen, we reduce resistance and frustration that typically accompany it. Instead of obsessing over the mistake, acceptance opens the door to constructive thinking and problem solving. Another key strategy is cultivating self-compassion. People tend to be their own harshest critics when they fail, often replaying mistakes in their minds with unforgiving judgment. This self-criticism can lead to anxiety, depression, and diminished self-esteem. Practicing self-compassion means treating oneself with kindness and understanding during tough times, just as one would comfort a friend. Research shows that self-compassion improves emotional resilience and reduces the harmful effects of stress caused by failure. Meanwhile, when you respond to failure with gentleness instead of harshness, it becomes easier to maintain motivation and continue striving for success. Reframing failure is another powerful psychological tool. This involves changing the way we perceive setbacks by looking at them through a more positive or constructive lens. Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint or a judgment on one's abilities, reframing encourages us to view it as an opportunity for feedback and growth. For example, if a presentation at work doesn't go well, reframing means asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" Or, "How can I improve for next time?" This cognitive restructuring shifts attention from feelings of defeat to proactive problem solving. Goal setting is also essential in coping with minor failures. When goals are vague or unrealistic, failure becomes more likely and more discouraging. Breaking down larger objectives into smaller, achievable tasks help maintain momentum and reduces the overwhelming pressure that often leads to failure. Achieving these small milestones generates a sense of accomplishment and builds confidence. This process also provides valuable feedback on progress, allowing for adjustments when setbacks occur. For instance, if your goal is to improve physical fitness, but you miss a workout one day, recognizing that one missed session doesn't negate your overall effort is vital. A crucial psychological framework in coping with failure is adopting a growth mindset. Coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, the growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. Individuals with a growth mindset view failures not as reflections of fixed traits, but as valuable experiences that foster improvement. This mindset encourages persistence despite setbacks, as failure becomes simply part of the learning curve rather than a sign of defeat. People with a growth mindset tend to take on challenges with more enthusiasm and recover from failures more quickly. Mindfulness practices offer another effective way to manage the emotional impact of failure. Mindfulness is the act of being fully present and aware of one's thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we encounter failure, it's natural for our minds to spiral into negative thoughts, regrets, or an anxiety about the future. Mindfulness helps interrupt this cycle by grounding us in the present moment and observing thoughts without attaching excessive emotional weight to them. This awareness can reduce stress and emotional reactivity, allowing us to respond more calmly and clearly to the failure. Social support is an often underestimated but vital method of coping with failure. Sharing setbacks with friends, family, or mentors provides emotional relief and perspective. Sometimes the mere act of verbalizing a failure helps reduce its perceived severity. Trusted individuals can offer encouragement, advice, and practical assistance, which can be instrumental in overcoming obstacles. Isolation, on the other hand, can exacerbate feelings of discouragement and loneliness. Building a strong support network creates a safety net that cushions the blow of small failures and encourages resilience. Maintaining physical and mental health is also fundamental in coping with setbacks. Daily failures can feel more overwhelming when one is physically tired, mentally drained, or emotionally vulnerable. Regular exercise, a balanced diet, and sufficient sleep enhance overall well-being and increase the ability to handle stress. Exercise, in particular, releases endorphins that boost mood and promote a positive outlook. Moreover, physical activity improves cognitive function, which helps in problem solving and decision making following failure. Remember, taking care of your body lays a solid foundation that supports emotional regulation and resilience. Reflecting on past successes is an effective way to counterbalance the discouragement of small failures. When a failure occurs, it can easily overshadow all the progress and achievements one has made. Taking time to remember and celebrate previous accomplishments boosts self-confidence and reminds individuals of your ability to overcome challenges. This reflection creates a more balanced perspective, reinforcing the belief that failure is temporary and does not define one's entire journey. Finally, it's important to keep failures in perspective and not let them define your self-worth or future potential. Small daily failures are just minor setbacks within the bigger picture of life. Developing patience and long-term thinking helps individuals stay focused on their overall goals rather than getting discouraged by isolated incidents. Remember that failure is a teacher and a stepping stone, not a verdict on your abilities. By viewing each failure as a temporary obstacle rather than a permanent roadblock, you empower yourself to continue moving forward with confidence. In conclusion, small daily failures are an unavoidable part of life, but they do not have to derail our progress or diminish our self-esteem. By embracing acceptance, practicing self-compassion, and reframing failures, individuals can reduce the emotional burden of setbacks. Setting realistic goals, cultivating a growth mindset, and practicing mindfulness further enhances resilience. Seeking social support and maintaining physical and mental health provide additional resources for coping. Moreover, reflecting on past successes and maintaining perspective help keep failures in context, reinforcing the belief that setbacks are temporary and manageable.